Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. Welcome to Born to Achieve podcast, the show that inspires and motivates you to unlock your full potential and achieve your goals. With your host, Warren Andrew Pinder. Let's get started on this week's episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve.
I am born to achieve greatness, and so are you. On today's episode of the Born to Achieve Greatness show, we have as our guest, Mr. David Webb, known as the No Money Millionaire. He went from being broke to building a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, all without using his own money. David teaches everyday people how to break limiting beliefs, master their mindset, and leverage creative financial strategies to achieve financial freedom. His message is simple. No money, no excuse. Please welcome Mr. David Webb. Welcome, David.
Oh, thank you very much, Warren. Thank you.
We are so excited to have you on the podcast today, and we want you to help our viewing and listening audience with fulfilling their dream through using your strategies.
Perfect. I'm glad to share it.
Go ahead. So let's dive right in. Let's dive right into it. How did this all come about? Give us the backstory. It's always a story as to how what clicked in your mind to turn on that light to bring this here to what you have been able to successfully do.
You know, and it's funny you say it that way because I did a couple deals that were no money deals and it still hadn't clicked because from where I'm from the inner city of Detroit, grew up in the Detroit school system, and they don't teach this type of stuff. They don't teach about passive income. Matter of fact, it's the opposite. They teach you to try to find a job, work all, 40 years to hopefully get a retirement or be on fixed income and then, have to live less than you worked your whole life to do. So it was quite the opposite of when I was growing up, of learning this type of information. And so coming out of that area, we're taught we need good credit, and we have to build up a large down payment and get our taxes, all of these set pieces that you have to be able to buy property, to be able to get into this realm. And so I did my first deal. I was young. I was in my 20s, and I did it, no money, out of pocket. And so, nobody thought I could. And it was a unique arrangement. And luckily I found a lender who was like, okay, let's put this together, and was willing to work with me. But, I hit those were the yellow pages back in those days. I don't know if people remember those, but I went from one phone call to the next, and everyone was like, you have credit, you have down payment. And I was like, no, but I just wanted to make it happen. And I found a lender, and he said, okay, let's see what we can do. And so we were creatively able to structure that, and I did it. And so then, I just went on. I ended up selling that house, but it hadn't clicked. And then, the housing boom back around 2007, 8.
Yes.
Somebody had came to me and said, Dave, why don't you own a home? You could get a home right now. And I still had those things implanted in my head. And I was like, nah, I can't get a home. My credit wasn't right. And I didn't have any money for a down payment. And so I was turning myself down before even trying. I wasn't even getting turned down. I was doing it to myself. And so luckily I just looked through Craigslist one day and I saw a seller finance, and I negotiated. I was able to get in there for a really small, I think it was like $1,500 out of pocket, but it was a value. I know all these terms now, but I didn't then. It was a value add property. I was able to get in low, but I didn't realize what I was doing. It just hadn't clicked, like you had said. And it was 10 years after that it all finally clicked. And I wanted to get this apartment building. I saw it. I knew I could do really well with it. And, I'm like, what do I got to do? What do I got to do to get this? And I ended up, I did all my homework. I was thorough, and I ended up putting it together. I got private money. I was able to put it together. And once I did that one, they all finally came together. But defeating those beliefs that we're ingrained with, coming out of like a situation where I was poor, nobody around me owned real estate, or I didn't even know the term passive income. So I was so locked with those beliefs that, it took a long time to overcome those and really learn that this is possible and this can be done.
Thank you for joining today's podcast. We'll be right back.
Achieve Man, written by Warren Andrew Pinder and Dominique Bradford. This book passionately focuses on the challenges women have been made to go through and how to overcome them. In some cultures, being a woman disadvantages the girl child. This book carefully exposes the hurdles you might face. This masterpiece is the ultimate self-help guide for women. It reveals your true purpose and identity. Get your copy today. Available from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
Listening to you, that is what we really talk about, taking action to chart that course, identifying the hurdles. And what you were talking about, the hurdles started in your mind of, I can't go beyond that. I'm not supposed to. This is a barrier for me to believe. But here I am right now. I've gone through it. And, like you said, that's just a basic principle of persistence. To flip through the yellow pages, like you said. Now, some people, like you said, don't know about it, but they don't know what the yellow pages are or were.
Yeah.
So we need you. We need you right now to this point. I didn't mean to cut you off, but to this point, literally help us to understand. So as you've gotten to that point and you've now found that in yourself, the lights turn on, go for it. Where the world, the sky's the limit. Just tell me how you started to incline.
Yeah, well, once it clicked, there was no stopping me. All I could do was look for deals that I could arrange, and that's all I've been doing. And so, I've now, once it clicked, everything became clear. It's crazy because before that, I couldn't see any of it. I had somebody trying to talk to me about it, but since I didn't understand it, it was French. And they were talking a language to me I couldn't understand. And even though they were saying you can do this, you can do that, and you can get money, and you don't have to have money, I was like, are you crazy? What do you mean I don't have to have money to buy millions of dollars of property? And so once it clicked, it was like, wow. And I was so angry that I had waited so long to figure this out. It just was like, wow. And so, I've been really active now, and the people that I pull together and I put these together, everybody's happy. It's just once you can learn to present something so that it's a win for everybody involved, everyone's so happy, everybody wants to continue, and your course just is so much easier after that. It's just after that, it's just regular work now. I know I need to find this to this to this and put it together and keep moving. So yeah, once it clicked, I haven't stopped. But it was a long road. It was 30 years of, I had done 2 deals already, no money, and still didn't know that I could do this. Still telling myself I couldn't do it. Exactly. Until I really wanted this building, and I was relentless and persistent, and I wasn't accepting anything but making it happen. And then I finally did. And so from there, yeah, it's been off and running.
Give us an example of some of the deals that you were able to put together.
Sure. So I've used all kinds of systems now. I use private money a lot. So I found somebody. So I'll tell you exactly how the first deal went down. I found an 8-unit apartment, multifamily. And I knew at this point that I needed to and at this point I was able to use banks. Everyone can't use banks, and we can get into that later. That's how I help people start.
Please do.
Yeah, that's how I help people start from zero now. Because going from zero, like where I was from, you can't get it. You can't go into the bank and say, "Yeah, give me $1 million loan." It's just not going to happen. So there's some steps to build up to that. But at this point, I was able to, and so I knew the bank needed at 20%. They needed me to come to the table at 20% down. But that's also including the renovation budget as well. And so you get the overall. So I had to do my homework. What's it going to take to renovate it? What can I raise the rents to? What are the rents now? And so how much is going to be over? I talked to the bank. What will be the payment with after my 20%? And so then I could determine, well, I could offer somebody this much per month because the rents are exceeding what the bank wants. And so the bank is willing to give you the money to renovate it. And so I put all these pieces together. So what I did the first time after doing my homework, because you have to be able to present it properly. So I did my homework. I was thorough. I got on my phone. I texted 3 people that I knew. And I said, I'm looking at this apartment building. Would you be interested in working with me on it? And I just sat and I waited. And those minutes were hours. And I'm like, oh, are they going to, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then, the phone came back and said, yeah, I'd love to talk to you more. And out of those 3 people, I was able to move forward with 1 and went to the bank and made it all happen. And, that was the hardest struggle for me because that was the first one. And I'm like, okay. And inside it's that inner voice like, man, can I make this happen? Is this really going to happen? Talking to everybody. Yeah. But we did it and it went through. And so, yeah, that was the first deal. That's how that one went.
Wow. That's great. So basically these are persons that you knew that you canvassed or just random that you would have send a request to.
Sure. They were people. They weren't friends. They weren't family. They were people that I had just encountered, that I had a decent meeting. We had never hung out before. We had never done real business before, but we knew each other. And so, and that was really it. We had a decent respect for each other. They were business people in their own right. And one of the people that I went to was the previous owner of the house that I lived in. Oh. Yeah. We only met from me buying the house from him. And so, I had talked to him a couple times when something went wrong with the house. I knew what business what he was in. And I didn't have a relationship with him. I had only bought the home from him. And so, so I sent a text to him. I sent a text to a person that I knew at the store I used to frequent and go in. I knew he was the owner. We talked a couple times and I sent him a text. And then another person was a local contractor that I had encountered once or twice. And so I just sent them all 3 a text and said, would you be interested in discussing further? And yeah.
Wow.
To say, I'm sorry, but all 3 said yes, that they would talk to me, but only 1 ended up moving forward.
Wow.
Now for a commercial break.
Achieve Men, written by Warren Andrew Pinder. In this book, you will learn the 7 steps to achieving your dreams and goals. Given the vision to share how the acronym of the word achieve can be used systematically in your day-to-day life. Each of us is given a unique gift from God. Get your copy today. Available in print, ebook, and audiobook from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
So what was your skill sets? What were the skill sets that you brought to the table to put this together?
Well, I've had a strong sales background, really. I hadn't been in property. I didn't have any construction background. Well, I sold construction. I would come in and I used to work for a home remodeling company in Detroit, and I sold remodeling aspects, but I never did any of the stuff before. But it was really the skill set that I brought to the table that made this work was I packaged it very well. I did my homework in the beginning. I had the bank ready. I had what the rents were today, what I could get them to, what that was based upon. I just really was thorough with my presentation, and that got the respect and trust that I needed from one of the people.
Right. So becoming a millionaire from no money, that is so attractive. Right. That's extremely attractive. I'm sure. Yeah. From no money to becoming a millionaire.
It's possible.
Tell our listeners. Tell them that I want you to tell them.
I'm gonna say, I was struggling. I struggled, working, trying to make ends meet. I've been evicted over 15 times. I've
Wow.
been through over 15 evictions. I'll tell you a story. My son, I was so lucky that I was a single parent, and I was so lucky that my son would go back to Detroit and visit my mother for the summer, because every summer when he returned to a new home, because I was being evicted while he was gone. And every time he came back, it was a new home. He was young, so it didn't register with him, but I had pushed it through, and I just got so far behind that I had to move out. It was easier for me to get into a new place than catch up to where I was. And I went through that over 15 times. And so, I've been there. I've had my utilities shut off. I one time could not get the electricity turned back on in my home. So I connected an inverter to my car. I would leave my car running in the garage and run extension cords through the whole house. My son would come home from school and would have no electricity in the house until I came home from work and could connect it back to the car. So, I've been there. I have been there. And that, none of that matters, though. It really matters with, like I said, I did my homework. I presented the deal. I recognized the deal. I presented it. And people, the way that I brought it so thoroughly, people were willing to take the shot with me. And so that, I still use all of this today. I still don't do any deals using my money. I just closed on a 9-house property 2 weeks ago. It was 1.1 million, and I came out of pocket not $1. So these are still things that I do today. It's what got me started, and it's what I continue. So it's possible. Now, how would I tell someone to go from zero to getting to become a millionaire?
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason. And I'll just show you. That's the we're not on video, but that's the reason that I've written my book, because I have so many people from where I'm from who are still struggling, who still have those set beliefs that they can't do this. None of that's available to them because of all the things they just don't have. And so how I'm helping, I have a person right now that's out here with me that I've been coaching, and he just closed on a triplex in August 1st. He was renting. He didn't have credit. His taxes weren't even up to date and filed, and he didn't have a down payment. He had 4 dogs. He wouldn't even been able to rent a place. Someone wouldn't have rented to him. He was in a building that I had. I was going to put a retail store in there, but I decided, I'm too busy now with real estate that I decided I just can't do the store. So I stopped leasing the building, and he was living in there. And I told him, I said, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to continue with that building. And so he had to find a place to live. And he couldn't rent a place. And so he was talking to me. He was worried. He said, what am I going to do? And I said, why don't you do what I'm trying to teach you? Start to do it. And so he did. He found a triplex, a 3-unit apartment building. And he did it with no money out of pocket. He went from zero. He had no credit, no money, couldn't rent a place, found a triplex that this was really, it seemed kind of divine. It really did, because it was so perfect for his situation.
Right.
2 of the units were rented. 1 was vacant. He could move into the 1. The 2 that were rented was enough to cover the note to buy the property. And he was able to do some handyman work to be able to get in as his down payment. So he went in with not $1, closed on a triplex, and was collecting rent the day that he closed. And that was August 1st. And so how I teach people like him and people, my friends, stuff from back home, you can look for seller finance just like that, or you can start doing fix and flips. And fix and flips, you can use hard money lenders. And that's another one of the avenues that I use. So I don't know if you're familiar with the hard money lenders. They have a bad rep, to some. They're like, they're high interest, but they're perfect for what they offer. And, you can get a hard money lender. Some will lend you 100% of the price to purchase the property and renovate it. So you can get the entire budget from a hard money lender with no money out of pocket, 100% financing. And so that's how I tell people to start. Start with those, flip some, or if you can find a seller finance, either of those two areas, that's where you should get started. And then that way you can make some money by flipping those. Start getting your taxes right. Start paying your credit down. Start getting a relationship at a bank. Get a couple years. Do 2, 3, 4 years of doing that program, and that way you can start getting everything you need in line to be able to go to the next step, to be able to go to the banks, to be able to do larger, more structured deals. But you can start right from wherever you are right now. You can start doing this.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. We hope you found it informative, inspiring, and motivating. Born to Achieve. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Stay focused on your goals, and we'll see you on the next episode of Born to Achieve.
Take advantage of this incredible opportunity. Sign up today and claim your free ebook at www.borntoachievegreatness.com. Follow us on Facebook at Achieve Movement Inc. Get your copy of Exploring Achieveland, A Journey to Realize Your Dreams, Motivational Stories of Kindness, Inspiring Stories for Kids on Amazon and Kindle.